Whenever ImpulseRC comes out with a new product, a new frame, you can generally expect, well, first of all, something pretty good, and also something innovative. And this product that I'm going to be looking at with you today is no different. So what I have here is the ImpulseRC ApexDC for Dead Cat. So that's making reference to the layout of the frame, the configuration of the arms. So this product, from what I understood, was developed, or at least the idea for this product was triggered by Mr. Steele, who wanted something for more cinematic, more long-range flying. So the main point of having a Dead Cat configuration is that we're going to be able to bring the cameras forward of the motors a little bit more and make sure that we don't get any props in view. And I can confirm that with this this setup. I have a 2.1mm lens on here. I don't see any props in view on the FPV. And running it with my GoPro Hero 9 as I usually do, I didn't measure it exactly, but in super view, I'd say probably around 15 degrees, maybe a little lower, before I could start to see the left prop tip in the frame, and that's in super view. And that was also using the 5.2-inch Gemfan 50-26 props that I normally would run on this quad with the GoPro 9. So I got this frame for chasing this summer at the drift track. I wanted something that, you know, I could make sure I don't have any props in view, because sometimes I would with the setup I had last year. And, you know, I wanted to keep an Apex just because they always fly so well. So one of the drawbacks of having a Dead Cat configuration is that you're offsetting the center of gravity towards the front compared to where the motors are, which is not ideal. It will affect the dynamics of the quad a little bit. And that's one of the things I'm going to look into later on in this video with you. I flew a pack on my regular 5-inch and a pack on this immediately afterwards. So we'll go over that just to compare and see, you know, how different are they really. First, though, I want to go over the main differences between this and the 5-inch Apex. So essentially, in terms of the layout of the components inside, you have the 30x30, 20x20 in the center, and you have the wider rear end here that you would find on the HD version of the 5-inch Apex, but they've added these 4 mounting holes, which the HD didn't have, which is a nice thing. I never really understood why they didn't do that in the first place. But I did see Sean Blakemore mention that once they've gone through all the bottom plates for the regular HD version that don't have the 20x20 mounting, after that point, all HD regular 5-inch Apex will have these mounting holes at the back. So that's a nice touch. This quad is also, you know, completely digital ready. So you have enough room in the back for an air unit, and the cone washers that come with it for the back mounting are not metal. They're actually an isolating plastic to make sure that the Vista doesn't ground with the frame. And the same thing applies. I don't have digital in here, but I put it anyways. There's a little kind of plate here that will ensure that the bottom of the Vista doesn't make contact with the carbon and ground the frame. Not sure exactly why it's a bad thing, but I've understood that it's a bad thing. So you've also got up at the front, the cameras apparently with the DJI system are also grounded. So to prevent it from grounding with the frame, they have these little TPU inserts for the FPV cameras. The front is the same on all the versions of the Apex, the bolt pattern at least. And yeah, that's about it. So what I've got in this one is the FETtec F7 with the 45 amp ESC. At the back, I've got the regulator board. I've got 2 capacitors. It only needs 1. I ended up with 2, long story, but figured I'd leave it in there. I've got the 5-volt Unify V3, and I have a Foxeer Cat 3 for the FPV camera. Another thing that I noticed was that the back is a bit longer on the HD version and on the DC version. than on the analog 5-inch version. And that gives you plenty of space on top to run a bigger pack if you need to. Now, the real treat with the design of this quad is the way that they achieved the dead cat configuration. So if you were to compare this with the HD version of the regular 5-inch, the only thing that changes are the 2 bottom plates. Those are the only parts that are unique to the DC, because they've basically just set it up so the arms are at an angle that keep, you know, that perfect kind of square or squashed X layout that's just offset to the back. The arms at the back are the standard 6-inch arms. The arms at the front are the standard 5-inch arms. So just by playing with the angle at which they mount to the frame. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if I've seen footage, but I know that there are people who have used it with the 6-inch at the front and 7-inch at the back to get a dead cat 6-inch with good results from what I've heard. So that also makes it a viable solution for you know, a bigger 6-inch long range build. So that can be interesting. I've got the lightweight version of this with 70-75 aluminum just about everywhere except for where the arms mount. In the end, it only comes out to roughly 15 grams heavier than the regular 5-inch version, which I mean would probably come down to the 6-inch arms at the back and the slightly longer rear end of the main body. But all in all, you know, it's an Apex, so you know you expect quality and you get quality. That's what they do. Another kind of neat feature that comes with the lightweight version of this frame, and honestly I really like this thing because it's always annoyed me, is the GoPro tab mount that comes with the lightweight version of the frame once again, which in and of itself is simple, nice design, pretty light, and it comes with this mounting screw here that is unbelievably light. Like you hold it, you can barely feel it in your hand. And this is another big weight saver from what I've seen. I can't remember exactly the difference, but I think it's something like, you know, another 8-9 grams of weight that you shave off from using the regular GoPro screw with the kind of thumb turn thing at the end. And another nice touch that they did was the end of the screw here has a 2.5 millimeter hex on the inside. And otherwise it's an 8mm box on the outside, exactly like your props. So, you know, any of those multi-prop tools with the hexes, you'd be able to easily go and adjust your GoPro angle, loosen, tighten. So I thought that was another nice touch and a smart idea, and I've always wondered why we don't have more options for these screws that are lighter, because the GoPro ones are pretty heavy. Now the reason I don't have that mount and the Hero 9 on it right now, and I have a session on it instead, is because I wanted to compare it with my regular 5-inch. So this way that these quads are set up as they are right now is the way I flew them. The only difference in terms of parts is going to be, well, you know, first of all, the frame. And second of all, this one has the TPU couch on it, whereas this one has the foam wedge. As you can see. And the TPU mount is 11, if I remember correctly, it's 11 grams more. So in between these two quads, there's a 25 gram difference. But you do have to keep in mind that a part of that is down to the mounts that I'm using, because otherwise everything else was the same, both Hero Session 5s with an armor. This one's about 650 grams, and this one is about 675 grams. Both have the Gemfan F3S props. Both quads are on the same version for the firmwares for the FC and the ESC, with the same tunes. I really wanted to make sure I could get as close to possible as exact matches. They're running the same motors. Both of them are the Ethix Stout V4, except for the color. You know, these are the tumbled aluminum versus the white. But in terms of the motor itself, they're the same. can give you a little idea of you know, the difference of the layout between these two. So let me try and get these lined up if I can. Not exactly easy. Oh, fuck's sake. Do you mind? You're not really going to be able to see much of this, are you? So I tried to line them up as much as I could. There is a little bit more spacing between the front and rear props, about 1/10 of an inch. And you can see here just how much there's an offset towards the front. And when I was saying earlier that the rear of the HD version is a bit longer, well, you can see that they line up pretty much perfectly as it is here, meaning that on the HD regular 5-inch, it would be extending out a little further. So yeah, the stance is slightly wider and slightly longer than the regular 5-inch, but that pretty much covers it. So let's get to that flight footage, see how they compare, and we'll come back right after. All right, so first start with a flight with the regular 5-inch Apex that I'm used to. Oh, there's more snow than there used to be. Alright, that's enough for now. Taking off now with ApexDC, and right away I can tell you there's no props in view in the FPV camera. Same size lens as my Falkor 2's 2.1mm. But on this camera, I get the feeling that the field of view is a little more closed, a little tighter, but at least I can definitely say I'm not seeing any props. Whoa, that was close to the smell. If I'm honest, the only real difference think I'm feeling is because of the weight difference. There's 25 grams between them, and part of that is due to the session mount that I'm using, which is 10 grams heavier. So they're the same tunes, and I feel like this one could need a bit of more fine-tuning. There's a little more prop wash, and again, I get the impression that might be because of the weight. I wouldn't say they feel exactly the same, but I mean, it's not to the point where I'm like not comfortable flying it. So, as I expected, it's a 5-inch KISS powered Apex. That flies excellent, and just a bit heavier. Hey Luna, what's up? Yeah, you like the DC better? I'm not as convinced. So yeah, between the two, there's not a huge difference. I wasn't expecting there to be much of a difference, but there is a bit. It's difficult to say how much of that comes down to the build, how much of that comes down to the extra 25 grams that I'm carrying on the DC. In any case, it's such a small difference that I'm just as comfortable flying the DC as I am my regular 5 inches. It's not even enough to warrant an adjustment in the way that you're flying the quad. Naturally, when I'm going to be flying it at the track, I'm going to have the Hero 9 on it. I'm going to have bigger packs as well. The extra weight that's being added at that point is definitely going to make a difference. But if they're set up the same, it's as near as makes no difference, the same thing. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, let me know down in the comments. And otherwise, well, happy flying.